So let me give a quick introduction to both of you. So Tommy, here on the right side of the screen, holds both Swedish and American law degrees and is a member of the New York Bar Association. He is the founder and owner of Lawyers.se and has been practicing law since 1993. Tommy Persson is specialized in contract negotiations regarding video games. He has been representing video game studios since 2000. Now, Annette, on the left, is the CEO, chairman of the board, and president of Lawyer.se, a law firm specialized in video game law. Annette is also the founder and president of Stonegate Productions AB, a Swedish film studio. She has founded and been president and CEO of several companies in the entertainment industry, for example, film production studios, and worked with film and TV productions. She has also several board membership and advisory board assignments and has a vast experience of marketing and business development. That is quite the credentials both of you bring to the show today.
Thanks.
So for the format today, all of those joining in the chat, it's going to be a little bit of an interactive talk. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat, and I will be tossing them up to Tommy and Annette as we go. So no need to hold your questions back for the end. Just fire them as you have them. And with that, I'm going to stop talking and hand the floor over to both of you.
Thank you. First of all, please change picture. Yeah, that's us. So this is Lawyer.se. And this is how we work. Tommy, you can talk.
Yeah, so, I mean, my name is Tommy Persson. I've been an attorney here for like you said, for over 20 years, and law is war, and we're fighting the war on our client's behalf. That's what we do. And basically, in any contract negotiations, in the beginning, before you get the contract signed, is you and them. Is you the developer and them the publisher, and your adversaries, right? So it's a lot of things to think. It can be quite hard, quite tough to negotiate. So there are a lot of things to think about, and I mean, a lot of times it's all about tactics, a lot about positioning, and sometimes bad things can happen if you're not prepared and know what to do. And true story, this thing happened recently, whereby a client of ours, a startup, been doing business for maybe 1 year or so, a year and a half, and they needed some mocap for a trailer to show for the game to attract publishers. So they approach mocap studio, say we don't have any money right now, we're gonna pay you later perhaps, and the studio says no problem, we'll give you like 1 day of free mocap shoot, and you pay us later when you get the contract. So what happens? They get the mocap, they show it to publishers, they get close to a deal, and then, by the way, I'm going to hire this mocap company, say, and these are the rates, and the publisher says, oh no, these rates are extraordinary, they're twice as much as no one else will charge you. So then you're stuck in a bad contract because you didn't get into details, so beforehand you know what you're buying. Another issue being that one client of mine, before it became our client, was negotiating with a record label to make a video game about a very famous pop group, one of the biggest groups in the world. And he had a handshake with the CEO of the record label, and he started doing the game, and halfway through the game, the CEO of the record label got fired. And the next day, there's another attorney. Next day, another CEO for the record label who says, "Well, we have no contract, and we don't want to pay you for the game." So what to do? So that studio contacts the local business bureau in the town they're living in, and say, "Oh, but yeah, I've got a great attorney. He's on a board of directors. Ask him." And he get the attorney, and they go to negotiate, and nothing happens. And after a while, he finds out that attorney is an expert in commercial real estate, not in video games. So If you have the wrong attorney on your side, might be a problem. A third issue you might be looking into is who do you take in if you need venture capital, make sure those people and you are in sync. Happened to a client of mine a few years back, whereby he was raising capital, took in venture capital from some outside investors, but not from the video game industry. And the main investor who was an experienced businessman who made his money in car services. And after doing issues of shares, that person became the major shareholder of the votes and shares of the company. And after a while, the founder, the video game guy, and the investor did clash. They didn't see eye to eye. And at a sitting board meeting, the shareholder was the major owner, fired the founder. Say, you're fired, leave the room. So if you take in venture capital, make sure you know who you're dealing with and have a good contract that can control the company. So if you don't have the right attorney, give the right advice, bad things can happen.
So Tommy, Annette, we have a question in the chat. In the US, an individual can register as an LLC, but we don't seem to have that option in Canada. What are the pros and cons of each option, such as sole proprietorship versus corporation, for example?
Well, you're going to have a corporation because that will shield your responsibility. Normally, a company, a corporation, is its own legal entity. So that company has its obligations and responsibilities. And if you get sued, the lawsuit, the claim will stay with the company, not on yourself. So, I mean, if you're a video game developer, you get a contract with a publisher, and you take on, you get an advance to make the game. Might be $1 million, might be 10 million, might be more, who knows, depending on the type of game and platform. But you want to avoid getting sued personally by a publisher or third party. It can be very, very expensive. You don't want to go in bankruptcy yourself. If you have a company, then the company is reliable, not yourself. So my best advice: always have a corporation.
It's mostly as a protection for liability.
Yeah.
Now, are there?
It will also be a benefit for tax reasons. I mean, if you make good money, you want to make sure you can maybe not pay all taxes at the same time, right? You can maybe spread out the income over a few years, or you take it out, they take the money out and make some deductions and so on. So I mean, a lot of times it's always better to have a corporation. You need to have an accountant and with some bookkeeping, but still, it's beneficial to do it in the long run.
So it sounds like there would also be some, as you were saying, some accounting options, not options, but benefits of having the corporation.
Yeah, I mean, for maybe have maybe a lot of income 1 year, you can spread out maybe over 4 or 5 years and so on, right? So you don't have to pay taxes and everything at the same time and pay more taxes. So, but I'm an attorney. I'm not an accountant.
Right. We'll have to ask our accountants that were on yesterday to flesh that one out.
Annette?
Yeah. Are there any more questions right now, Jason, or we just go on?
Not for right now. So again, thank you for the question. If there's any other questions in the chat, just drop them as they come up, and we'll toss them up to Annette and Tommy. So Annette, just let me know if you'd like the presentation back up and what slide we should be on as well.
We should be on the slide number 3. No, it's the war one, the one we're standing and looking at each other. Yeah, that's us. We have a good time at work. Tommy has been talking of some ugly situations you can get into, and you really wouldn't want those things to happen to you. So that's why we're here. We're here to help you avoid bad things happening to your business and to give room for your maximum success. So, as you know, we have this law firm. You can change picture. The law firm with the name Lawyer. It's quite a good name, if I may say. It was founded by Tommy here 20 years ago. He sat there alone, working from his home, just loving to dig into contracts. for 18 years until I came along and the firm started to grow. So now we're 5 persons in all at the company. What's so special about us is that we have only video game clients. So we work exclusively in the video game field. And we have 100 plus clients all over the world. So we work internationally. We have no office. Everybody works from hometown. And that's a very good model for us. So we'll soon start talking about the important stuff. Of course, we plan something, but also what would you like to or need to hear? Please send in some questions to the chat, because we would like you to have something out of this, something that you need to have. So this session is for you. We'll try to catch what you want and get a clever reply to it. So, Tommy, what questions do you mostly get from your clients, and what is essential to think about as a video game developer?
A lot of things. I mean, it depends where you are. If you're a startup, you're an experienced studio. But a lot of time it is funding. Can you on your own funds make a game, or do you need to take in capital from venture capitalists or from a publisher? What game you're gonna make? You're gonna make a game to be self-published by yourself on Steam or Apple App Store, Google Play, or Epic Game Store, or are you gonna work for a publisher who's going to publish a game for you? That's the starting point. Also, issues might be regarding what type of game we're going to do. We're going to work, what kind of platform we're going to do Steam and PC, digital. They're going to go for platforms. You're going to do mobile games. What are the risks legally with certain platforms, certain games, certain issues? And also, and some can be from. I mean, you had a client here approaches here before Christmas. They were like 6 guys who've been working for a major studio for 15 years, and they want to start on their own. So we had a meeting with them. Saying, how do we start our own company? How do we leave our current employer? How do we attract venture capital? How do we secure the copyrights from ourselves, from our contractors? So we help them to terminate the contract with current employers, to start their own studio. We help them find and negotiate the funding from a major publisher. And we help them with the employment contracts and consulting, contractor contracts, and so on. So that happens sometimes. Other times it might be clients coming, they are an established studio, but they know we're going to get an offer, maybe from a publisher, maybe tomorrow or next week. Can you please help us, advise us how to prepare for negotiation, help us with the negotiation, help us review the contracts, redraft the contracts, make sure we understand what we're getting into, and what we can we get better terms, or what should we avoid, and so on. So I mean, I've been doing this for over 20 years, in my 21st years in this industry here, and I've been doing AAAs, AA, single A, mobile games, you name it here. And a lot of times you need someone with you, helping you negotiate with a publisher. The publisher, whether it be a single A, AA, or AAA publisher, they are experienced. They have tons of resources. They have maybe an army of attorneys if you're a AAA publisher. And negotiating with them is David against Goliath. So you need to be prepared and do the best you can. Either yourself, you bring in an attorney like myself or someone else who are experienced in video game contracts. And actually, I had a dinner a few years back with a friend of mine who's an attorney for a publisher in the US. And he said, you know, Tommy, we always have 5 or 10 devil clauses. We put in 5 or 10 very extreme clauses that are extremely in our favor and extremely bad for the developer, just to test them if they can find these clauses and strike them. If they do that, they are aware. If they don't find them, they're stupid, and then we don't know if we're going to work with them or not. So a lot of times it's a test. It's like playing chess or playing poker. I mean, can you keep up with the other side in negotiations? Do you know your stuff? Do you know your rights? Do you know your obligations? So on. A lot of times we help them our clients with those issues. And a lot of times can be who should own the copyrights. And if you make a game, can you keep ownership of the game, or you're gonna transfer the ownership to the publisher? I mean, if you do a AAA, chances are you cannot keep the IP because intellectual property, because then the publisher is going to lose so much money. It might be today between 1,600 million US for funding for a AAA game. So then the publisher will demand to own the copyright. But if there's a single A game, maybe $500,000 US dollars, or maybe a double A, 5, 6, 10 million US dollars, then you can, in some instances, keep the ownership of the game, of the IP. So then a lot of things we try to advise and help our clients, if possible, own the IP. So if the game goes well, you can build a franchise, do a sequel and a sequel to a sequel and so on. Then you can control the game and make money. But if you do a AAA and so on, the ownership will go to the publisher. Another issue will be, what about creative control? Can you, or should the publisher have the final say on the game developments? I mean, I had a client like 12 years ago, did a AAA for a major publisher, and the contract was signed based on a very dark script, a very kind of Tarantino-esque type of game, and the contract was signed, and then through production, the publisher wanted to be more and more family oriented, less dark, more light, more Spielberg and less Tarantino. And had the developer fired the creative director and so on, because in the contract, the publisher had the creative control. They were entitled to decide the direction of the game. Because if it's your script, your IP from the beginning, and you have a vision, if you can get into the contract, you're going to have the creative control, giving a tremendous difference how to make the game. And other issues we might have is just payments. If you're going to work for a publisher, how do you get paid? Do you get a signing bonus upon signing? And can make sure, like Emmanuel said yesterday, can make sure the signing bonus is not repayable. Whatever you get to keep, but the publisher might recoup it from future sales. That's one thing. Another issue might be how you get paid every 6 weeks or so. And one issue might be currency. If the publisher is American and we want to pay you in US dollars, how does the US dollar fluctuate regarding your local currency? I had a client once who did sign a contract in 2002, and then $1 gave you 11.5 Swedish kronor. And then over the coming 18 months, the value of the dollar went down the drain, and after a year and a half, $1 gave you 5.5 Swedish kronor. So half the game development budget was lost in currency loss. So you can get paid in your local currency, or can you get paid maybe in a more neutral, more stable currency? That'd be something to look at. And also an issue in every contract is royalties. I mean, if the game goes well, the development goes well, the game is published. Normally, it's that after publisher has recouped its advance, your payment for developing the game and for marketing costs and so on. Above that, you get a royalty. And a lot of things is the devil is in the details. Maybe you heard of the word Hollywood accounting, whereby a good Hollywood film studio or a good publisher can add on so many hidden costs that you might never, ever get any royalties. And this issue here, actually I had yesterday a conversation here with a client, a studio, a small studio, whereby they had the game finalized themselves, had the game themselves funded and published on Steam, and then they got approached by a publisher who wanted to port the game for Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. And the deal was that the cost for the porting for Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo going to be taken by the publisher and recouped against sales of the game, right, from gross revenues. And my client always thought they're going to recoup from all the income of the game. But I went through the contract and told them yesterday, look here, they're going to recoup it from your side. If you have 50% royalties, they're going to take all the cost from your side, not their side. So I mean, instead of recouping $1 for each dollar earned, going to only recoup 50 cents from dollar earned, right? So it'll be twice the recoupment time. So I mean, that's an issue, and especially sometimes you have a low revenue, lower royalty. Sometimes, say if the publisher pays you for a full development cost, maybe you pitch a script, you pitch maybe a vertical slice of what you have, or maybe a prototype, and you get signed on that, and the publisher pays your full development cost, and they pay the full marketing, and they maybe have outside third-party QA teams and so on doing QA for the game. And if you have maybe say a 20% royalty, then for every dollar earned for the game, only 20% goes into recoup. So it takes a long time then to get the money back to make any royalties. So you gotta make sure you know what are your royalty rates and when do you get them. Another issue might be taxes, whereby in the US you have a withholding tax. So anything is paid out to the US has a 30% withholding tax. So if you're going to get paid $100, $30 is going to be kept in the US as a withholding tax, unless you file a certain tax application called W-8-BENE. If you file that, then you get taxed in your home country. So I mean, that's a huge difference. Whereby, I mean, if your country has a tax treaty with the US, then instead of getting 30% paid in tax in the US, you get 100% of the revenue back to your country, and then you can use the money into game development, and whatever is a profit, you pay tax on. So all those tiny issues you need to think about, right? They may look tiny, but can make a big issue in the end. Another issue being if you're going to have a contract with a publisher, it's your delivery. I mean, you have every 6 weeks you have a milestone delivery, and you have the contract has like normally every contract has 5 or 6 different exhibits. One of them is a milestone schedule, whereby you have to have a date. So every 6 weeks you have a set date to deliver a milestone. What if you miss your milestone? You're a day or two late. Well, officially, you're in breach of contract. And unless you have had a good contract and good negotiation, you can get your contract terminated by that, because you're in breach and get sued. So what I always try to do is add something called grace periods, so whereby you can be late maybe 30 days on a single milestone delivery, maybe 90 days on the final goldmaster, without being in breach. It might not look much in a contract to add that, but it might make a world of difference if you're late on a milestone or on the final delivery.
Tommy,
Sorry?
Tommy, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
When should you hire a professional lawyer? Is there something you can manage yourself in the video game business, or do you always need to hire a professional lawyer? What's your opinion?
It depends on your experience. Depends if you have you negotiated before contract with a publisher, or have you before negotiated contract with a middleware company, with a video game engine licensor, or a platform, or hired employees or hired contractors. I mean, if you've done it before, I mean, then you have an experience. If you haven't been doing it before, you might be good advice to get help from the get-go. I mean, normally, to start a company, I mean, that you can do on yourself. And wherever country you're located, you can probably contact either the government agency for starting companies, or find a company that will sell you a shelf company to you. I mean, that's easy. Hiring people, I mean, you can just probably get templates online for employment contracts. But if you want to, in our industry, if you want to make sure you get control of all the work done, all the copyrights and so on, then probably you need an attorney to help you with the copyright in the contract with the employees and also with the contractors. But I think anytime you're going to do anything that's going to be an effect on intellectual property rights or payments, you should probably be an attorney to make sure you checked all the boxes, crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's, right? It's so easy to make a mistake. It's a true story. One of today's biggest developer was 20 years ago, a small studio, 25 years ago, 20 years ago. And they were getting an offer from a major publisher in the US. And they didn't really know how to negotiate, so they got themselves an agent, an American agent. So they're going to help you guys to negotiate the contract and help take care of you. And then take 5% of the contract value. So they brought in the agent, they didn't negotiate. First of all, the agent said, this is my contract, you sign. So they signed the contract with the agent first, and the agent didn't negotiate with the publisher, and they got the deal signed with the publisher. They had a game developed over 2 years and got the publisher. It was a great success. So they thought, okay, after the game's a success, the publisher want to make a sequel. So the publisher approaches the developer, let's do a sequel. Yeah, perfect. Let's negotiate. And now the publisher says, just take the old contract. We just add in new numbers and new delivery dates. And the developer says, perfect. Then we don't need an agent. So they negotiate themselves. After a while, they get a phone call. Hey, it's your agent. I want 5% on new contract. Well, you haven't helped us with new contract. Well, look at your contract. I have a right to 5% on every game made on this game franchise. It's so easy to make a mistake. You don't look through the details. And if they had an attorney with them from the get-go, they probably should make a better contract with the agents, perhaps.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Wow. So we do have another question here in the chat. This is kind of multi-part, so just let me know if you want me to.
I'm slow. I'm a slow thinker, so they take one at a time, probably.
Sure. Okay, so the question is, after getting a contract offer and deciding you want to hire a lawyer, what is the step-by-step of how that works?
First of all, make sure it's an attorney that's an expert in this field of law. I mean, attorneys are like track and field athletes. Some run fast, some jump high, some throw far away, right? It doesn't matter how good attorney is if it's in the wrong field of law. I mean, if you're doing video games, get a video game attorney. And so on. So I mean, and look for references. I mean, if you have friends who have a studio, who can they recommend? I mean, or do you have heard somebody and somebody say that guy, that law firm is good? I mean, look for references or look for LinkedIn. Make sure it's someone who's experienced and done this before. I mean, video game negotiation is like doing brain surgery. I mean, if you don't have done it before, chances are you're going to die, right?
That's very dark. The next part to that question, how long does it take for lawyers to review? Do lawyers talk directly to the publisher or through the developer? So just trying to understand a little bit more how that process works.
I myself, always try to have the law firm, I always do the review, talk to if you get a contract from a publisher, I review it. And it could be anything between 20 and 70 pages, perhaps, depends what type of game or platform and so on. So I review it. I get a contract in Word, in Word. So I make a red line where I add changes, I delete stuff, I add stuff, I make comments in the right-hand corner. I send to my client, the studio. I discuss it in a call with the developer. Say this and that is what they're asking for. Are you okay with this and that? What should we add more? What should we delete more? And so they always talk to the developer, whether it be the CEO or producer, whatever, who's in charge of the negotiation on their part, and make sure we're in sync. And then we send the redraft back to the publisher. And so this is our redraft. Maybe they do a call and discuss, and so on. I mean, I like to see myself as a Machiavelli. I advise the prince. I'm not the prince. I'm the advisor. Okay. It's always the studio who makes the decision, always. I can say this is a good offer, bad offer, it's a good clause, bad clause, but at the end of the day, it's always the studio who has to make the decision. And also when you negotiate with a publisher, so a lot of times it may not be one call, it might be 10, 20. I mean, a AAA could be like, we did a AAA here a year and a half ago, Annette and I, and we had probably negotiations over 6 months, maybe 2-3 calls per week with the publisher, developer, ourselves, and the publisher's attorney. And it can take time, right? But at the end of the day, it's always the developer has to decide what's acceptable and not. And also when we negotiate, and that's what I always on the call to have myself, the client, and the publisher and the publisher attorney. So and long time it can be kind of quite heated arguments, right? And can be tough negotiations. I also I'm the bad guy to come to the evil lawyer. I take the hard stance. I'm the bulldog fighting for the client, and that's up to the client to find a middle way. So at the end of the day, if the publisher is going to hate somebody, it's me, the attorney, not the client.
Okay, and
I cannot make a decision of what deal to take. That's also up on the studio.
Right. And now the third and final part to that question, I think it is a good thing that we broke it up. Is a back and forth common? If so, what's the usual procedure for that?
Say again?
Is a back and forth common? Do you often see that? And if so, what's the usual procedure for that?
I mean, a lot of times it goes back and forth, right? I mean, we get the contract from the publisher, we make a redraft, send it back, and this and another redraft back. But you got to jump on a call, right? You do the calls, you negotiate, and after the call, one party do the redrafting again, send it back, and sometimes it take one call, sometimes it take maybe 10 calls, right? I'm doing a deal right now for a VR game for a quite new platform, so everything's so new, so much to handle in the negotiation here, and it gets to be very complex. And so there's a new platform, a new game, and we have some extra elements here that are quite unusual. So whereby we have quite heated arguments here, and I'm the tank, and I roll over the publisher, right, in a good way, not in a bad way, and then either party has to go back then and make a redraft and go back again and try to find the middle ground. And at the end of the day is that what can we or they accept? Sometime a party, whether it be us or them, might draw a line in the sand. This is our line. We're not going past this. So then can we take this or not? But a lot of times it depends. I mean, who holds the gun here? I mean, who has the power? Who has the money? Or who has the talent? Who needs who more? Right? But normally you try to find the middle ground. I mean, you want 10, they want 20. Can we settle on 15 or 17 or 13 or whatever? Right? It all depends on what's the general practice here. I mean, what we're asking for, is it unreasonable? I mean, depending on my experience from my 20 years, can you ask for this or not? I mean, some things you cannot ask for, right? You're dead in the waters, but something you can ask for and negotiate. But sometimes you may have 10 issues you negotiate. Maybe we win 3, they win 3, and we settle on 4. It's also like a horse trading. You got to bargain and argue, right? Look the horse in the mouth.
Jason, is the question finished, or shall we continue?
Oh yes, that was the final part, and the person asking is thanking.
The more questions, the better, so we know what you're looking for. What do you want to hear?
Yeah. We really want to know what you want us to talk about. That's right.
I mean, one thing to bring up here is the change of control. I mean, sometimes in some contract it says that if you change your ownership, then the publisher has the right to match and buy a company. So I mean, this could be more and more common in the last few years. So if there's such a clause in your contract saying that if you get new ownership, more than 50% of the company was to change ownership, you're going to have to give the publisher a right to match the offer. Do you want to do that? Do you want to have the publisher to own your studio? So you got to make sure that we can avoid those clauses if possible, or you're going to keep them. Maybe say you're going to negotiate in good faith, but it can't be an absolute right to match, because then they can buy you at any time. anyone get that offer to you. And also, that's one issue you're going to buy your studio. Sometimes, if you own the game, the IP, they might be saying that if you offer to sell your game to someone else, then also the publisher has the right to match the offer, right? And you're going to have those offer rights to the publisher. Then you'll be more constrained in what you can do with your studio and with your game. So you got to make sure. And also, a lot of things here. It happened also in the last few years. The publisher tried to put in non-compete section in the contract, so you cannot compete. So maybe during the time you make the game, you're not allowed to make similar games for other publishers, or even worse, after game release, you try to tie it down. Maybe you cannot for 2 years or so do a game in the same genre and or same platform. And if you get stuck with those, I mean, you could be dead. I mean, then you have no source of income, right? If you don't get a sequel. So you can also make sure that you can always, after game release, can take another other contract, other option from another publisher. So make sure you're not tied down and being almost like a slave to the publisher. And so on. And also make sure you know all the costs. A lot of time you get a flat fee from the publisher. Maybe you get X amount of money to make a game over Y amount of time. And it's up to you to cover all the needs. Get programmers, and graphical artists, sound engineers, and so on. And outside, maybe get music and sounds and mocap and so on. And I'm doing a deal right now here where the publisher want to have a famous pop song as a part of a trailer. And when the music is being released by a record label, then you have to negotiate with first the record label who owns the recording. You have to negotiate with the artist who owns the copyright into the music, the author. You have to negotiate with the unions who are maybe part of the recording, and also negotiate with the rights of the background singers or background musicians. And if you don't know those costs beforehand, it can be very, very expensive. You get fixed compensation from the publisher, and if this cost might explode, it's on you. You gotta pay it.
Yeah. So you've heard a lot of things from the lawyer. Please don't hesitate to come with your subject that you want to hear more about. Can I have picture number 8, please, Jason? Yeah, number 8. No, that's me. That's Tommy. Next one. That is number 8. Yeah. This is the question. Why would you contact us? Just briefly, because we're specialized, we have a lot of insight and knowledge that some big law firm wouldn't have. And we're here for you almost 24/7. We'll answer anytime, day and night. And that meaning that Tommy here is awake all time zones. We wouldn't believe it. That's because we have clients all over the world, which ensures fast delivery since time is always of the essence. We have a quick delivery. Mostly always 24 hours, even on Sundays and Christmas Eve. For most clients, it's a fact that you should probably have consulted a lawyer yesterday. So it's really important with the fast work. And also we're flexible. We have it's different every time. People have different needs. Our clients have different needs. And we'll work with you, finding out your needs and the way we should be working together. And that's different every time. We also have this big network. And if some of our clients need help with other law issues, apart from our specialty, we'll help them to get a great lawyer for that. Our essence in the company is that we always strive to have long-term relations. We try to look at the client's needs instead of ourselves earning a lot of money. And also we're personal and nice guys, taking care of you and your needs. We take our work seriously, but not ourselves. So we have a lot of fun. It might now seem as we're promoting ourselves, Yes, of course, a bit we are, but our main goal is to really help our clients. So we do that also by flexible pricing if needed. Um, is there any more questions or something coming up, Jason, or shall we just continue? Okay. Tommy, I have a question.
Sure.
Negotiating, that is really tricky.
Yes.
Do you have any tricks or any tips or something that you could tell people about how you win negotiations?
I think you're all going to be prepared. You know, who are you negotiating with? What is that party? Whether it being a publisher or a middleware company or a contractor or whoever it might be, a license holder. Make sure who is that party? What is their motivation? What are they looking to achieve? And what are your goals? What are your common ground? And what are your strengths and your weaknesses? What are their strengths and their weaknesses? And do you negotiate with one publisher or two publishers? Are you strong? Can you walk away from negotiation or not? Or do you need them desperately to survive the studio, to get a contract signed, and get the money into paying your salaries and so on? So you can know your position, be prepared. The more you know about the position, the better. A lot of times, if you know what you're good at, what you're weak at, maybe they have a new platform being released soon, then it gains a new platform, then you are strong. But if they maybe have only one slot for one game in one genre for one platform, then you're weak, right? And also to find what makes them tick, what are they doing, and also culture. I mean, is it a Japanese or an American or a German publisher? How are Germans, American, Japanese people when you negotiate with them? I mean, let's say here in Scandinavia, like an American, yes, Scandinavian, maybe. American maybe, Scandinavian no. American no, Scandinavian insult. So the American, yeah, we're gonna do deals with you. Going to be great. Going to work together. It means maybe we're going to work together. Or if an American public says to you, yeah, we maybe call you. They will never call you. So you can know that, and also know means sometimes, and Americans can be very aggressive, right? So I mean, I was in a negotiation where the American negotiation was just screaming and yelling at my client CEO for like 10 minutes, saying you're the worst ever, you're horrible, and this is never gonna be good. And my client was kind of scared. I mean, he has never been shoot out before like that in his life. But I took him aside. I mean, I told him this is just negotiation tactics. Sometimes some Americans do this just to make you feel insecure.
Yeah, and you help our clients with those things.
Yeah, I can be just as bad as scream and yell and be nasty back to them if needed. Of course, it's all show and play, right? But I can fight back. But also, I mean, we negotiate with Asians. A lot of times, you have to meet them first, have a long dinner, and have a bunch of alcohol. Because in Asia, in Japan or China, you only do business with people you trust. So I mean, I had a client that had a salesman who was responsible for sales for Japan, and so he said, Tommy, I have to drink so much alcohol every trip to Japan for them to trust me. So you can know. I mean, if you're in Japan or in China, well, you can meet them, have dinners, and drink alcohol and sing karaoke, and become a friend of them. and they know what's the local tradition and culture. I mean, and so sometimes I was in negotiation, like I looked like a year and a half, 2 years ago, whereby in American English, people talk with very, we're the best, the greatest, and always talk very positive. And sometimes in Sweden, you're very direct. And my client, the CEO, was so direct that the American publishers negotiator thought he was insulting him. Your cultural difference in the Swedish people think they know English, and they do, but they don't know the level of the words, right? So when my CEO tried to be speaking good English, he was insulting the American publisher because it was too direct.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Canadians are very polite. So, I mean, if you're Canadian, be polite, but not too polite when negotiate. Sometimes you got to be tougher when you negotiate, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's fun every day. It's fun. It's fun to be an evil lawyer, isn't it?
It is, though. I mean, it's also, I mean, we fight the publisher when we negotiate. But once we have signed the contract, then we're together. Then we're working together to make the best game possible, right? And also, I mean, it's the power position between two parties. When you start negotiating, the publisher has all the powers. They have the money. They have the contract they want to sign, right? But once you have negotiated, get a decent contract, you get signed. For every payment done by the publisher, the power goes more and more to the developer. I mean, if you've done 90% of the game, get paid 90% of the game, and then the last 10%, I mean, then you're strong. I mean, if you don't deliver the last milestone, they have no game to sell, right? So, I mean, if you're going to ask for more money, do it then when the game is almost finished. And you need more money, maybe delayed and so on, right? Asking for more money in the beginning is no chance. So you know when you're strong, when you're weak. And the publisher is strong in the beginning and up until the middle of production. But then at the end, the power goes to the developer because the game has been paid almost, but the game is not finalized.
Yeah. So I'll wrap it up, I think. Thank you, Tommy, and thank you, Jason, for being here. And thank you all for listening and participating with questions. This has been great fun. And we hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it as well. So take care, everybody, and don't hesitate to contact us if you have any need for lawyer advice. Just get into our website, Lawyer.se, and you'll find our contact details. And also, there's a special offer today. If you get in touch, mention the word video game lawyer, and we'll give you an extra 30 minutes free consulting. And also 20% off the first work we do for you. This offer is valid until June 1st. So that's quite a good deal, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Thank you so much for that surprise deal, Annette, Tommy. Hopefully some of our viewers will be taking advantage of that. I encourage anyone who's interested, check out the website to get in contact with either Annette, Tommy, and drop that information to get a 30-minute free consultation. There's nothing, can't argue with free, right? Well, thank you both so much for coming in, for calling in from Sweden today and sharing that knowledge with us. Tommy, there's so many more. I'd love to just hang out with you and hear more of these stories that you seem to just have an abundance of fun stories to share.